Hey now, WW2 here. Today I got something a little cool. Something cool. I always got something cool, but today I got something real cool. First of all, here is a Boker 182, also known as the humpback knife. It's your basic 6-blade camp knife, utility knife, whatever you want to call it. And it has this hump because it has longer back tools. So to make them longer, to make them a little more sturdy, they give you that hump. But it turns out that hump is actually pretty comfortable. Your thumb fits in it very nicely. Nice little edge right there. But this isn't the only style of 6-bladed camp knife that Boker made. They also made a Swiss Army knife officer's style, and here it is. This is about, this is a 9centimeter knife, centimeter, probably 88 to 90 centimeters. I didn't give it an exact measurement. It's a hair shorter than like a 91 millimeter Victorinox. Yeah, it's probably around 88 millimeters, something like that. So a little longer than your 84. Here's like a 84 from the 1920s. But man, what a great little knife. This has a very stout construction. They're nice thick tools, thick blade stock, even thick liners, beautiful brass liners, nice and shiny. Man, it's just great. And this is carbon steel, not stainless steel. It's got the bird's eye rivets, brass pins, just exceptional. This plastic's in great shape. It does got one crack going on over here, but it's stable. Yeah, it ain't going nowhere. So, and the knife's nice and tight, and that's what's important. First, let's check out that corkscrew. Got a little 4-turn corkscrew. Basic corkscrew stuff going on here, nothing too fancy. Notice in the middle, we've got a carbon steel spacer. That's interesting. I just noticed that. Yeah, it's got brass liners and a carbon steel spacer. That's pretty cool. Next up, we've got that reamer. And it's an interesting reamer design. All actually. As far as these awls go, some call them the European style awl. They're generally quarter round, basically. So they're rounded on one side, and then 2 sides are flat. So you get like this pyramid triangle type thing going on. But this one is interesting, is that it's closer to a half round design, in that it's flat on one side and then rounded all the way around. Just a different way of getting the same job done. Certainly looks good though, I'll give it that. Great. Here's another. This is probably similar to that design. This is a D. Perez, and this one's actually has a German trademark on it. But you can see it's like flat. It's only flat on one side. Actually, this is flat on 2 sides. So yeah, it's not really similar. That's just a totally unique type of thing. Just working out my train of thought here. Well, let's check out the tools. We've got the old can opener. Check it out. It's even got the little arbolito, the little tree stamped on there, which is like their sign of quality, I guess. I think it is with Boker, but super cool. That actually appears on all the tools, including the cap lifter right here, although it's heavily worn out, but you can just barely make out the image of the tree in this corner over here. Nice little. That's a great screwdriver shape, by the way. It's just a, this is a perfect size. You can always do a little bigger, wider screw with a small flathead screwdriver, but if your flathead screwdriver is super wide, like say this one, it might not fit into the heads of all flat screws. So it's something to think about. Next up, we've got the clip blade. And when I bought this on eBay as usual, and I thought it was stainless steel because of how shiny it is, but it is carbon steel. You can even see some pitting in there. I guess it's been worked on. Somebody's done a great job restoring this, or they've just done a great job taking care of it. But you can see some of the light pitting and discoloration. Again, the clip blade has the little arbolito mark. Very cool. And last but not least, the main event. A beautiful, whoa, I hit my camera. Whoa, beautiful drop point blade. The usual design for these kind of knives. A little oil residue left in there. I just serviced this knife yesterday. Yeah, but you can see the pitting and some scratching. It's definitely been used, but not overused. Again, we've got the arbolito, the little tree on the back. On the front, H. Boker and Co. Soligen. And looking at the popular Boker tang stamp document you will find online, which goes to an issue of Knife World magazine that was that was helped out by Boker, actually helped with the historical information there, so it's pretty accurate. This tang stamp dates to 1944 and earlier. So what does that mean? Well, what was happening in 1944? World War II. And Boker in Soligen, they got bombed to the ground. Their factory was completely demolished, and it had to be rebuilt after the war. And because of that, their knife designs changed. Like, for instance, on these ones, the ones before World War II, they will have a tapered spacer in the center and tapered springs, as afterwards they're straight. They lost all their machining, they lost all their tooling, and they basically had to start from scratch, and because of that, their designs changed. So that makes the pre-war Bokers a little more highly sought after. Now, this model is interesting, as the story goes, Karl Elsner invented the Swiss Army knife, the officer's knife, in 1897. But what he really did is take a very common, popular design, and he refined it so much that later German companies came around and copied his design. But it's all based on the original design. They moved some stuff around. According to Boker lore, Boker has been making a six-bladed camp knife since 1869, I believe, somewhere in there, somewhere in the middle of the 1800s. I've never seen any evidence of it, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. Maybe it's just a matter of time before I stumble upon one of these knives from before 1897. But that aside, they have been making this one since at least 1923, because it appears in a catalog image from then. But this one, it may go back way longer. Not this particular one, obviously. Come on, don't be a dummy. This one, I don't know how to date it. I can barely find images of this model of knife. I know Messer HQ has shown a couple of later ones with like blue scales, and they have badges on them. This is definitely, obviously it's pre-World War II, but I don't know how much older than that it is. It could potentially be from I assume the mid-20s to 1944s. I would think this is in the 40s probably. But the thing is, they used the same tang stamp from the 1890s at least. So, yeah, so you got a wide date range there. Bokers can be notoriously difficult to pin down. Because they used tang stamps for so long, they didn't have a dating system like Case. They didn't frequently change tang stamps like Victorinox, and therefore you're left with a little information to go on as to how specifically to date them. That doesn't matter to me really, though. This is probably my favorite officer style knife that I have now, easily. A close second would be this D. Perez, which is certainly from the 1920s, if not earlier. Yeah, I mean, this is a great knife too. What I like about both of these knives is they are extremely heavy duty. The D. Perez, even more so, is very thick. Here's like a 1946 officer's knife, and the D. Perez is even probably a millimeter thicker than that. This 1946 officer's knife is about the same thickness as the Boker. So that gives you an idea. I like this size a lot. It's like the perfect size for me. It's in between 84 millimeter and 91 millimeter, and it's just heavy duty. I like that it's carbon steel. Not that I'm like a steel snob by any means of the imagination, but this is some of the best steel I've had on a knife in a while. It's very hard. I suspect its hardness is a little above, you know, average. I guess closer to 60 Rockwell, and the steel takes a great edge. I've noticed it takes a little time to sharpen, but it holds an edge very good, and I like that a lot. And this is going to be a knife that gets a lot of pocket time with me. So we've got the Boker, we've got the D. Perez beer barrel, and we've got the 182. 3 of my favorite vintage knives. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. WW2 out.